Dining out can be a wonderful experience for dancers. It's filled with anticipation, it's filled with fun, bonding memories between you, your family, and your friends. And most importantly, it's often filled with really good, yummy food. But for many dancers struggling knee-deep with disordered eating, dining out can elicit a ton of overwhelm and stress. In an effort to become the healthy dancer, remember, nourishment not only encompasses our physical health, but also our mental and emotional well-being. Today, I'm sharing practical strategies so that you can get back to dining out without the stress and guilt unfortunately put on us by dancer diet culture.
I'm Rachel Fine, registered dietitian nutritionist and founder of To The Point Nutrition. A dancer's performance is a direct result of hard work and motivation. So where does food fit into this? There's a lot of myths and a ton of antiquated ideals, and I'm here to dispel those.
Hi, I'm Rachel Fine. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist, supporting dancers as they fuel for performance, but also helping them to build and sustain happy, healthy relationships with both their plates and their bodies. Dining out can truly support all realms of the healthy dancer. And as a reminder, the healthy dancer defines a supportive relationship with food, one that integrates the principles of intuitive eating and proactive fueling. So that means the ability to fuel your body based on your intuitive cues of hunger, fullness, and satisfaction, all while still having to implement a more proactive approach to ensure that you are meeting the increased needs of a dancer, those that are pretty comparable to an athlete's. Unfortunately, for many dancers, relying solely on intuitive cues of hunger and fullness is not going to get them to where they have to be for their performance goals. And that's why proactive fueling considers the importance of flexible meal planning within the context of performance nutrition to boost those nutritional needs and get them to where they need to be. In this work, the ability to dine out, it doesn't translate to needing to order the steamed veggies or the dressing on the side. In fact, I don't encourage these practices as they are often restrictive and coming from very rigid and I quote, clean eating lifestyles that don't support a dancer both in the short term and the long term. Rather, dining out without the stress means dismantling a lot of dancer diet culture, a lot of food rules, learning how to grant yourself permission to enjoy all foods that leaves you feeling good, physically, mentally, and emotionally, without that all or nothing mindset. So why is dining out often stressful for dancers? Well, it's because most dancers thrive with structure, and dining out challenges that predictability. Discomfort from the unknown is a common reason why dancers develop restrictive food rules in the first place. Seeking control, especially around their food choices or exercise patterns, is often a way for dancers to cope when so much of a dancer's career trajectory feels very out of their control. So a few specific reasons for the mealtime anxiety might be navigating menus that don't necessarily align with rigid food rules, eating with friends who might be very outspoken about their own dieting or restrictive eating patterns, feeling a lack of control over not knowing how dishes are prepared or what ingredients have gone into them, feeling guilty, especially after eating foods that might not have been deemed clean or healthy enough to abide by those rigid standards, and also restrictive food thoughts or comments that might come from both internal and external food police. So without judgment or self-ridicule, explore your emotions and behaviors around the idea of eating out. A few key signs might be the need to check menus beforehand, or the need to manipulate menu choices for reasons that go beyond a medically diagnosed allergy or intolerance. An example here would be ordering that salad dressing on the side. Another key identifier might be the need to save up for or compensate from an eating experience. Now, while many of these experiences on their own might not necessarily be a direct sign of disordered eating, like checking a menu beforehand doesn't necessarily mean that you're struggling with disordered eating, but it's important to evaluate the cumulative impact of all of these behaviors and the amount of stress or overwhelm they cause you. As I just mentioned, if you wanted to check a menu beforehand, or you might need to make a menu adjustment because of a previous experience with stomach discomfort, in all of these instances, your intention will always matter. Are you looking at menus because of the anticipation and excitement about eating out? Or are you looking at menus because you're stressing about whether or not there's going to be an option that's deemed to fit into a rigid set of food rules? So how can you dine out without those food rules? Well, step one, don't restrict beforehand. Eating an adequate amount of meals and snacks in the hours, days, and weeks leading up to a dining out experience is incredibly important, because under eating will set you up for experiences of, and I quote, overeating or just eating to a point past physical comfort. Instead, we need to do the work of building trust in ourselves, utilizing unconditional permission, allowing ourselves to eat foods without strings attached, without feeling like you need to save up the calories for or compensate from the calories of a meal. Going back to some predictability will help. This is more in line with those flexible eating patterns at other times in your day and week, just to ensure that your body is adequately fueled so that you're not necessarily entering a dining out experience feeling overly famished, but rather comfortably hungry. Another strategy is to focus more on the experience. Dining out, it's not only about the food, it's also about the environment. Eating in a new environment, eating with others, eating with friends or family, catching up, sharing recent experiences. From here, you can also tune into your body. Now, this is a bit more advanced work because it can be very challenging to truly tune into your body when you are being an extrovert, talking with others and socializing. But that's okay, we can learn to build some balance here. Assess your hunger levels. Consider the types of foods that you're craving. We do all this work within the Healthy Dancer Food Flexibility Algorithm. I'll share a link in the show notes to that one. Instead of fixating on calorie counts or diety options, approach the menu with curiosity and openness. Look for dishes that include a variety of ingredients. And if you're ready, even consider some aspects of gentle nutrition here. Is your dish balanced among the 3 macros? Does it have a source of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats? This is what's going to best help to promote satisfaction levels as you're eating and even after you eat. Next, you might need to welcome some discomfort. I know this one can be hard, but it can also sometimes be inevitable. Eating mindfully always enhances our ability to eat intuitively or tune into those intuitive cues of fullness and satisfaction. This means engaging all your senses at the meal and evaluating how the meal looks, the aromas, the tastes, the textures. But dining out can also turn into mindless eating. And that's okay, it's actually quite normal. Rather than criticizing yourself for eating mindlessly, remember, mindful eating, it's not always going to be the goal 100% of the time. And oftentimes, mindless eating might have a place in your day too. There's also the discomfort of enoughness. It can feel upsetting to feel physically full while still having some of that delicious food on your plate. You can continue to eat. You totally have permission to do that, and you don't have to feel guilty about it. But you also have permission to tune into and honor your body's fullness cues. Make space for the potential of sadness when doing that. That eating experience, a fun one, is coming to an end. But also, this experience is temporary, and we can even work to build more of these experiences into our day, whether that means taking home leftovers, making another dinner plan with your friends or family, or maybe even recreating some of those favorite dishes at home. Also important is to embrace flexibility. Just spoke about this before, but food flexibility offers the space to enjoy all different types of foods rather than just striving to abide with very rigid food rules. Remember, your food choices have no reflection of your moral character. You can prioritize your preferences, what's accessible to you at that moment. Within this work of flexibility, you can also utilize some of those strategies of gentle nutrition to ensure that you feel energized and satisfied after eating. And last, to help in this overall process, before dining out, practice some visualization. I often utilize this technique with dancers when we're challenging restrictive food rules. Visualize your dining out experience. It can help to reveal what might be the unknown. Even build a mental picture of everything that you can do to lead up to that experience. Remember, these are supportive habits, like ensuring nutritional adequacy, eating meals and snacks beforehand. You can even think about who you will be dining with, what the restaurant might look like. Is it noisy? Is it quiet? Will the cuisine challenge your comfort zone? This is a journaling practice that can be super supportive as you begin to build more stress-free dining out experiences into your journey. So by approaching those menus with curiosity, honoring your hunger, honoring fullness, making space for some discomfort, especially around enoughness, will all be incredibly helpful, just as much as practicing food flexibility and fueling sufficiently in the hours, days, and weeks leading up. I have a ton more tips on this topic, but I'm going to point you in the direction of my blog. I will share a link in the show notes. If any questions come up, you know where to find me. I will talk to you soon.